So with the August Nintendo Direct leaks and rumors conversation growing quite a bit online recently, I thought it would be a good idea to deep dive this conversation and make sure you know all of the data points on who's claiming this, just how reliable their track record is, and more importantly, something that I think a lot of people are forgetting, which is what type of presentation might this actually be, because there is one direct tie to this being a Nintendo Direct presentation in the month of August, and there is also some other info that could signify it being something on the smaller side or still having that direct title, but maybe not the full mainline first party Nintendo Direct presentation that we typically see them hold actually in the month of September. So we're gonna get on the same page with all of this info. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first deep dive exactly where this stemmed from. And there was actually, before anything else, even before the most recent Nintendo Museum Direct, a post from PH Brazil over on Family Boards, where he did post in a Nintendo Direct speculation thread on August 9th and said, "Oh, I'm glad you guys already have a thread up for this. You might need it sooner rather than later." Obviously teasing at a Nintendo Direct presentation of some sort coming soon. Then there was a podcast that did make the rounds from Mr. PH Brazil himself and a friend, a gaming podcast that's over in Portuguese in Brazil is where they do it at. And this is a translated post, but has been verified and backed up by various different users. And the claim then became, according to our own Brazil, the journalist who broke news about the 2025 Switch 2 release, Nintendo seems to have brought forward some plans regarding the Switch 2's release schedule. Some presentations, he doesn't specify which ones, that were scheduled for the end of September seem to have been brought forward to the next couple of weeks. He also says that the current podcast should be one of the last before news about the Switch 2 really starts to pop up. He also adds, and this seems to be just his personal opinion, that the Switch 2's release schedule will follow more or less the same route as well as what we saw with the Switch. Now, after those claims happened, we obviously did see Nintendo hold a direct presentation, but it was for their museum. And while I enjoyed that for what it was, I probably won't be able to make it over to Japan anytime soon. And so with it having the direct name but no new game announcements, obviously fans are still wondering, well, what else is Nintendo going to reveal to us through the rest of this year? And many, myself included, have been more in the mindset that this is already something of an off year for Nintendo, because if you look at just how we started the year in February, we did still get their historical Nintendo Direct presentation, but it was just a partner showcase and not a mainline first party Nintendo Direct presentation, which is one very important thing to keep in mind as we discuss this further. Well, then there was some back and forth between a user on Family Boards kind of calling out Brazil for saying that his previous post about the Nintendo Direct speculation thread was maybe just teasing this Museum Direct, which he probably wouldn't have had info of anyway. And essentially he didn't say what kind of presentation it would be, so that way it was a lucky guess and not something that's actually inside knowledge. And that's where the double down and a lot of these new rumors and speculations are popping up online that we should expect a Nintendo Direct to take place next week, because Brazil responded to this user with the following statement: "I understand this attitude because most people out there are just making stuff up, but I'm not. I don't mind it on Era or elsewhere, but it does annoy me to see it here. I've given you info on every single presentation this past year and more, but to your point, no, this wasn't all I was talking about. There's more coming this month. Why would I suggest this would cause movement in the speculation thread?" So in Brazil's own words, the presentations are not done for this month, and you might be looking at a calendar and realize that the fact that Nintendo Direct presentations only take place during the week and not on the weekend, that means we essentially have the 26th through the 30th for this to actually take place, which is not far away at all. And the 26th and the 30th are actually the most unlikely dates. It would likely be held Tuesday through Thursday of that week, which gives us the 27th, 28th, or 29th. Now, I would like to point out, while PH Brazil has had some spottiness in their track record, most notably with the claim that there would be a mainline Nintendo Direct in April, then him clarifying later on that was old info at the time he had heard it. He did own the mistake, and really, if you look at his track record overall, it seems like when he puts out things far in advance is when he has a little bit of a trickier time being right. And whenever he communicates things close to the reveal, in that case, he's proven right time and time again, because he's gotten multiple dates correct for the 2 Nintendo Directs we have seen this year, both with the partner showcase before we knew the exact day and time that would be going on, and with the mainline June Direct. And he's even had some reliable info on games like Dragon Quest, with claiming that before anybody else was saying what the release date was for that it would be the Dragon Quest remake, that is, would come out mid-November. And of course, we know that to actually be launching November 15th. That was before any of that was revealed. And so my personal opinion on this individual is that, yes, they are a legitimate games reporter within the industry, and they most likely have very legitimate contacts that do indeed spill the beans to them from time to time with what they're being told from Nintendo in terms of when to have trailers ready for a presentation and things like that. What they are not, however, is somebody who is plugged in directly with Nintendo in their boardroom meetings. Obviously, he's not a Nintendo employee, and hence plans can change. And if you say something that is the current plan for Nintendo and then things get moved behind the scenes, you can obviously be very wrong with that info when you put it out there, like we saw happen with the April Nintendo Direct claim. And that is one thing to keep in mind with this Nintendo Direct rumor, is that this is technically early information, even though Brazil did post this on Sunday of the week I am filming this, which this is currently Thursday the 22nd. You are watching this video on Friday the 23rd. So the current week we are in, Sunday the 18th, is when he doubled down, saying that there would be more this month, which is relatively close to the claim of when it should happen. So that then transitions us to the conversation of what kind of event might this actually be, because there is some thought and speculation online that maybe this is going to be something very small, not even the Nintendo Direct name, like a Nintendo Treehouse, where some Nintendo employees boot up and show off The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom ahead of time, and they kind of have that live conversation and explanation of the game as they are playing through it. Maybe they even boot up Mario Party Jamboree before its official release. It has also been pointed out, and Nintendo does have a big presence at PAX West this year, which is being held, or kicked off rather, on the 30th, and Nintendo is going to actually be demoing, from their own words, some of these big upcoming releases in their 2024 roadmap. So it is plausible that Nintendo might hold some kind of deep dive Treehouse presentation. What has been missed about this idea, though, is that in this double down statement from PH Brazil, he is specifically saying why would he be teasing only the Museum Direct when he made that post about having a Nintendo Direct speculation form up and saying that people would need it. He's basically saying, like, why would I tease something that is not game related to new announcements? And that's where I want to zero in, because I do believe what he is teasing is a actual Nintendo Direct presentation. It just might not be exactly what you were thinking. So I am less in the mind of a game specific Direct, and I'm less in the mindset that it will be a Treehouse presentation, but rather what could cause Nintendo to go off the beaten path of not holding their Direct in just the traditional September time slot they've done every single year since the Switch has been on the market. And the one thing that would cause them to shake it up and move it forward and pull it to August, maybe to clear out some room for something like a Switch 2 console reveal later, could be the idea that they don't have more first-party stuff to show us at this upcoming Nintendo Direct presentation, but rather we will get yet another Nintendo Direct partner showcase, just like we saw kick off the year in February, when everybody says that every year Nintendo holds a Direct in February. They'll obviously do it again this year, and it's always been a mainline Direct before that in the Nintendo Switch's life cycle, and this time, surprise, it was a partner showcase. I think the same thing is very likely to happen with the September time slot, but rather Nintendo might be opting to hold it the last week of August instead of their traditional September time slot. And I have been in this mindset more or less because when you look at the June Nintendo Direct objectively and realize just how much Nintendo laid out for their release schedule, they took us all the way through January of 2025 with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, a very simple port remaster project that you could have announced at a September mainline Direct if you were holding one, and that's typically when I believe we would have seen that announcement take place. But it seems like to me the mix of third-party and first-party announcements at that showcase largely built out Nintendo's release schedule for as long as they need to, all the way to last till February of next year, where we should actually see a pretty jam-packed Direct, because at that time, I do believe we will know about their next-gen hardware for sure, and they should be able to show off some of the launch lineup in the first Nintendo Direct from Nintendo that may indeed blend together the end of the Switch's life cycle with the updates on its existing first-party software that we know to expect, and a blend of new Switch 2 console exclusive announcements, and that is where my mindset is at. Obviously, I could be wrong about this. This could be a Nintendo Direct Mini that's being held towards the end of the month. That is very much on the table as well, where there's 1 or 2 or even 3 first-party focused Nintendo announcements, but for the most part, it's updates on existing games we know and a lot of third-party content. It could also be a traditional mainline Direct, but maybe there's only 1 or 2 pieces of really brand new Nintendo first-party software that we see there, and the rest is updates to the existing roadmap of games that we already know to expect. That is on the table as well, but I do think that it will be interesting to see that if we do indeed see this Nintendo Direct happen the last week of August, whether it be Partner Showcase, Mini, or even mainline, that does heavily suggest that Nintendo is likely gearing up the announcement for Nintendo Switch 2 later this fall. And it could happen in September, it could happen in October, but it does seem that they would be preparing something and kind of clearing this event out of the way, giving themselves some space from their most recent game announcements to create that much more hype for their next generation hardware with a more in-depth teaser trailer, kind of like the first look trailer we got for the original Switch back in October of 2016. But at this point in the video, that's really where I want to hear from you guys, what you make of these claims, and what do you think the likelihood is of Nintendo holding a mainline Direct presentation, a partner showcase, or a Direct Mini? And if you had to pick one of the 3, and you do indeed think that it will happen the last week of August, which presentation do you think it's most likely to be? Or do you think that this is incorrect info and we will just merely see Nintendo hold their traditional mainline September Direct, maybe a partner showcase or a Mini then, but you do think it's bad info as far as the August part and it will likely be held in September? And lastly, if we do see this claim come true and we do see an August Direct take place, do you think that does indeed signify that yes, we will learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever Nintendo's next gen hardware is called in this current calendar year of 2024? Or do you think Nintendo's more likely saving that reveal for early 2025? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.